Okay, hello everybody. This is the Stronghold podcast. We're back again in some weird days, and I'm here with pro boxer Samantha Quek. Sam, how are you?
Great, thanks. Thanks for having me. It's so nice to be here.
I know our podcast I thought was doomed. I canceled on you once or twice, and then we got the dates confused, and then stuff kept happening. And then Jake got fucking COVID sick.
No, I didn't get COVID sick. I got poisoned by the government.
Hey, don't say that. We were just talking about not getting pulled from YouTube anymore, and you're over here putting conspiracies out like that, bro. Come on.
Literally first thing.
No, he got the COVID injection. Everything's fine. He's now immortal. So, I don't know, Sam. I don't know how you want to start. I think we should probably just start with all
Things
the new
getting locked down. That's how we should start.
I know. We'll start on a good note. You know what I mean? So yeah, Singapore just got locked down. At least the fitness industry did. Other things got moved back to phase 2 restrictions. So now they're like limiting 5 people and stuff like that. And but the fitness industry, almost in large, got completely shut down, closed for 3 weeks until May 30th.
Yeah, the last day.
Sounds right.
Yeah.
So I mean, the fitness industry, all the gyms, all the martial arts gyms in Singapore, are just basically rushing to figure out if they're staying open, if they're staying closed. Some of them are opening, some of them are closing, and then the ones that are like staying open are getting complaints by all the ones that feel like they have to close down, and the restrictions keep changing every couple days. So, I mean, have you been following all this?
It's not only just the martial arts gyms though. It's the martial arts gyms versus the CrossFit gyms versus the normal gyms, because like the rules are different for every different kind of fitness industry. Like they're like, how come martial arts things can open but CrossFit things cannot open? And there's like arguments between different industries now. And then like in the martial arts gyms itself, like things are changing every 2 hours. Like I'm at Juggernaut right now, and we were at the gym cleaning up yesterday, and a bunch of guys from URA came down to make sure that we weren't open because yesterday was the first day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, they came in quick.
So they came in and they walked through the door and they were like, just checking, you guys are not open, right? And we were like, no, we're just doing like cleaning up, we're changing the mats, everything. And they were like, okay, well, you guys are not allowed to be open. Like, you guys are like a high intensity exercise place, so you guys can't be open. And we're like, yeah, we understand. So we pulled out so we just clarified with them on the regulations, and they weren't clear as well. So like no one is clear. Like the rules are changing all the time, and there's so much confusion. So everyone is just waiting for things to be clarified right now.
Yeah, and it's in that weird state where they can get to you quickly now, right? Because during circuit breaker, everything was closed down, right? So, and you can only get if you're these ambassadors that are going around trying to see if people are following the rules. Like, it's much easier when it's just like one industry that's completely closed, right? Like the bars are open, the gyms are closed, only the gyms, all the various different types, even yoga, which I thought was weird. Even yoga closed down. I'm like, I feel like if you can social distance doing anything, it's yoga. Right? You just come in, you keep your space, because I was like, okay, maybe we'll put on some free yoga classes or do something like that. And so they really showed up the first day.
Yeah, but wow. I mean, as in, it's really hard for them too, because I mean, like, they're just doing their job. Like the people who showed up to Juggernaut to make sure that we were following the rules, they're just doing what the higher ups told them to do,
Yeah, for sure. And
at the same time, like, we're just trying to keep our rice bowl. So everyone's just struggling right now, It's like just walking a tightrope, and it's just hard.
Yeah, people keep asking me what my opinion is on whether or not the gyms should stay closed. Of course, I own one as well, right? So I'm both incentivized from a financial standpoint, but then I'm also trying to understand that, like, if they put these restrictions in place, it's probably for a good reason, right? And I know a lot of people are like, fuck this, close down gym, people. And I'm like, I kind of get that impulse, right? I feel the same way in some sense. But then I'm also like, okay, I'm not a medical expert. I don't know what the hell's going on, right? I don't know how serious these outbreaks are. And I'm not going to be like, yeah, this fucking sucks, open everything back up. It feels a little like targeted, but I assume that's because they think that the fitness industries are high risk, right? So I tend to just be like, defer to the medical experts, and then we're just going to kind of lay low until the rules become more clear, and then we'll decide on whether or not we can actually open. But opening implies charging people, right? And implies putting their memberships back on.
Yeah.
And if we do that, then you have to be able to give them some kind of quality. Everybody has to have enough time to be able to come in, and then you have to pay your staff and all that kind of stuff. So we're just trying to figure out if we want to charge people, then it needs to be giving them an actual service that they're paying for, right? Like nobody wants to sit there and just do no contact jujitsu or like shadow boxing in a circle for 3 hours a night or 4 hours a night with only 4 or 5 people. Like, so it's a tricky place to be in, right? So I think we all just kind of have to tuck our tail and just close down and see what's going on. But I know some gyms are trying to stay open.
I think though, if it's the choice between we have to suffer this for 3 weeks and then we get back to how things were last week, fair enough. I'd rather suffer this for 3 weeks than things go bad over 3 weeks and we're back in lockdown.
Yeah.
No one wants that.
We should be able to check on my Instagram. I think it's on that computer. Jake, can you pull up Arvin's Instagram? Because Arvin's the owner of Juggernaut. He explained it perfectly. He said, just with the fact that the confusion was so insane, like I keep getting 100 messages a day about people being like, oh, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? What do you think it is? What do you think it is? Well, these are the new updates. These are the new updates. And they keep changing. And then other gyms had like closed down initially and then opened up. And then now they're thinking about closing down again. And so, but he did
I think it's his Facebook.
Oh, is it his
It's not
Facebook?
Facebook, so I can't say it on his.
Okay, my Facebook's probably logged into that computer. If you want to fucking creep on me, dude.
Just gonna go through your messages.
But anyway, I mean, that was it. Because they also only gave us, what was it, a week, 5 days or something?
I think like 3 days, dude.
Yeah, so then we have to decide, like, okay, what's going on? And we're waiting until the last day. And then they're still changing the rules. And nobody wants to get shut down. And
Yeah. So right now for us, like, it just, okay, as it stands, if I'm not wrong, the regulations are if you're indoors, has to be low intensity, you have to put on your mask, both instructors and students. You're not allowed to share equipment, including boxing bags and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Safe distancing and whatever. So it doesn't make sense to conduct a class indoors, right? You just basically just be shadow boxing for an
Yeah.
hour. So for us, we probably are going to conduct outdoor classes, which are complimentary
yeah,
for
that's
our
what we were
members,
thinking. Yeah.
so that they can at least get a bunch of exercise in like a couple of times a week. So at least like outdoors, that gives us a wider range of activities for them to do, and then we can like use equipment and stuff like that. So that's what we're planning.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. But like that, just make them free a few times a week, so people, because otherwise you got to be there for like 4 hours a night to just sit and go outside over and over to do these little. It's like 1 or 2 a day, I think, is the move, and I think we'll copy Arvin's.
I mean, all things being
Plan.
said, it's 3 weeks. It's 21 days, man. I mean, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Like, it'll pass.
And I just hope that they don't extend
Yeah.
afterward, right? Because then, one, there might be a problem then. If they're like actually feel like they need to extend, then obviously the COVID situation's gotten worse. But yeah, so I guess the industry just in large has to kind of lay low and just see.
Did you know what started all of this?
No, is it the hospital breakout?
No.
No.
So I found out just yesterday that, Pure Fitness, it has a Neon City branch at Takashimaya. They didn't do the safe entry checks properly. So there was a COVID case, a guy from India who did his, what do you call it, the 14-day thing? Where
The quarantine?
Yeah, he did the quarantine, and he was he passed all the checks and whatever, and his COVID test, like, it was negative, but his test was dormant, like the virus was dormant in him, so his test was negative, and he went into Pure Fitness like I think 10 times or something like that, and they didn't do the safe entry thing.
Oh.
And so when he's tested positive, he had already been in Pure Fitness like so many times.
Oh, wow. So it happened in the gym.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That
I see.
they freaked out and they tested everybody and they like swapped everyone, and that was what started the whole fitness like.
Oh, okay.
So that happened like beginning of April.
Beginning of April. Wow.
Boom.
Yeah.
There you have it.
Boom.
Knowledge. It's good.
Wow. Yeah. I Honestly, I hadn't heard any of that.
Do your
That's
safe
interesting.
entry, guys. Just say.
Yeah, I mean, we always did. They even have a person that's at Horse City where the gym is who does it for us every day. So there's really no, and you check in specifically to each place that you're going into. So, yeah, I mean, you think that's the one thing you got to kind of keep up on, the temperature screening and then the safe entry. But as long as you do that, you should be able to rock and roll, I feel like. But it's a strong reaction, man, just completely close the entire industry for 3 weeks.
I think that was one of the things that just made it more like, I don't know, just like was the thing that's the catalyst that sparked things, you know.
Yeah. And then you also wonder, like, is it the government just being like responding to an issue and they feel that they need to respond to it strongly, or is it the government being like, hey, you fucked up, now here's the punishment, right? Just to kind of remind everybody, like, if you fuck around with this and these cases start to happen, we're going to shut it down again.
Yeah, the governments like to be seen to doing things, and I'm not picking on the Singapore government here. Like, you look the world over, they love to be seen to be like, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do this thing, so we're seen as doing something, whether it's effective or not.
Yeah, well, I'm not that conspiratorially minded these days, but it is weird, right? The gyms reopened, I think, when we were having like 200 cases a day still, 300, 100, whatever what the number was, right? It was a lot still when they first went into phase 2. And those restrictions were less with the transient contact thing rule that they had initially. And we could still open back up and then run most of our classes with the exception of jiu-jitsu. There's like hundreds of cases a day, and it was still phase 2. Now it's complete and total shutdown for like what? One day, there 5, 7, and then I think there was one day where there were 30 or something. It's just like, damn, they dropped the hammer hard for what seems like it's pretty reasonable amount of cases to slip out every now and again.
Yeah, well, I think they're just trying to be safe because when I was in Thailand, so I was in Thailand for about a year and a half following my time spent in Evolve. So after I left Evolve, I went to Thailand to train because I wanted to get better and I had plans of turning pro. And that's when COVID first started. So actually Thailand managed their first, the beginning of COVID really well. And now they're having their second, or was it third phase of COVID? And it's really, really bad there, like right now. And Bangkok is chaos and there are not enough hospital beds and everything's really depressing there right now. And they're just not dealing, man.
Southeast Asia is getting hit hard right now too. It's like India is really rough, right? I mean,
Philippines,
accounts. Yeah, these countries are getting it well known like later. People probably had it earlier, but now the infrastructure is starting to get overwhelmed, and especially India, man. If you watch that, it's just brutal. And you hear these people talk about, I'm not going to get a vaccine. People are just like dying in beds, like getting thrown out all over the place, all over the world like that.
Yes, I mean, for all the things that Singapore government does, I mean, like, I just want to be safe, man. I just want to train. I'll just do my part and I'll just be patient and I'll just wait.
So, well, I mean, I guess you're in the kind of the skill building phase of your training, right? I mean, you have to be, right? Which is not a bad thing necessarily. Like, a lot of people get very motivated by an actual fight itself or the reasons why they train. But if you stay disciplined in this time, you can do a lot of skill building while having maybe more free time than you normally would to vacation and go here and do that and take all those fights and then the resting period in between. And then if you can just take a hard, like, 1 to 2 years to skill build, there are benefits on that as well.
But to be honest, like, I wouldn't be where I am now without COVID. Like, I've improved heaps and tons because I've had this time. Like, if I didn't have COVID, I would still be in Tiger. Like, I wouldn't have come back. I wouldn't have
You were training there when it hit?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that was your motivation to come back?
Well, my parents wanted me to come back because, I mean, logically, to be in Thailand when a pandemic happened would not be the best idea. So they wanted me to come back, and I just said okay. And when I came back, Arvin was like, he offered me the opportunity to come here and train, and I mean, I took it because it was a great opportunity, and I really, really liked Juggernaut so much. Like, I really do. Like, I've always trained in really big gyms. I started at Evolve and then Tiger. So I was at Top Team for a short while, but not very long. So I mean, they're all humongous gyms.
Yeah.
And there wasn't a lot of focus on boxing at any of these gyms.
Like specifically, right?
Specifically.
Yeah, that's true. Everyone knows that Juggernaut is like the boxing gym.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, they got other stuff too. Like they got other classes, but they're the gym that's focused its niche specifically on that, and then has those other classes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's always just been me and my coach or my trainer and just this whole bunch of other MMA Muay Thai people. So it's always just been me, and I've never really had like a team, like a bunch of people to like train together with and like beat up and like just laugh with and stuff. And it's just really nice to find that here. This is literally like the first time for me. I'm like really enjoying it, man.
Nice. Well, that's the benefit to like smaller gyms, right?
Yeah.
If you go to those huge gyms, then like there's something to be said for that. But usually, like even something like Evolve, when I was there, it was not nearly as big as it is now. They didn't have all the other branches. But I mean, even then, the classes would sometimes be, especially the big ones, like 20 or 30 people. And, that's cool if you want to be in like that kind of scene. Because there's a lot of people to train with and you get good benefits from that. There's something to be said for building a really robust program. But if you have a low-key gym where it's like the same people that you see over and over again, and you still have enough people that you have that structure, but you feel like you get way more attention from the coach, feel like you can really focus a little bit more on yourself, and everybody knows everybody, right? Like everybody that trains at my gym like has my phone number. They all talk to me directly. You're not going through like this. Like that's what I like about Irvin too in Major is that they teach and they own. So it allows people to like deal directly with like the owner and the guy that's teaching the classes, and there's something to be said for that. And I always preferred like the low-key gyms rather than the mega gyms, even though I spent my time at them. You feel way tighter, right? With everybody that you train with and you run into the same people all the time.
Yeah, well, Tiger, like you never run into the same person.
Oh
like,
yeah, that's
ever.
different though. Tigers are.
I mean, they just like come for their holiday, and but the benefit of Tiger is that you meet people from like so many countries, all walks of life, and you meet a whole bunch of fighters. And very often, like, because I was a sponsored fighter when I was there, and you meet all these fighters, and they're always just so hungry and so like full of passion for what they do.
Yeah.
It's very nice. Like
if they're there training, then they're either like the kind of hobbyist who just rolling up who probably trains somewhere else anyway, so that's how much they like it. And then you'll get the fighters that go there and train. Were you training with the fight team or?
Yeah. So in Evolve, what do you want to know first?
What do you? I meant Tiger, but you said that in such a diabolical way. Now I want to ask some questions about Evolve.
I mean, there's a whole like timeline. You want to start?
Give it to me, girl. Hit me up. Give me the juicy deets.
No, just move the mic in if we're getting to the juicy stuff.
Oh
wow!
Like, he's pointing at me and he's like giving me the signal. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh, over there. And he's like, get that fucking mic closer to her mouth.
well, it isn't exactly juicy. Okay, I started martial arts. I'm 29 now. I started about 23. It's funny actually, I was training at Pure Fitness and I was smoking and drinking and just partying and working at a club. So I was doing art at that time and I had no intention of doing martial arts whatsoever. So my friend who was taking private lessons from some guy teaching Muay Thai, he offered like one session to me. So I did the class, I did the session and I loved it. Like when I put on the pair of gloves, I was like, oh, this is what I need to do for the rest of my life.
Nice.
Like this is what I need to do.
You were doing Muay Thai or was it boxing?
It was Muay Thai.
So the first one was Muay Thai.
I didn't know fucking anything, but when I put on the gloves, I was like, I felt like the most badass chick to ever walk. I was like, yes, this is what I need to do. So
yeah, I told the story. Sorry, real quick. You were such a badass that like you walked into my house, and the first thing that you looked at me like we chatted for maybe 30 seconds, and you're like, so do you want to see this video of me beating some chick up? And I was like, you and me, we're gonna get along just fine.
Yeah, so I mean, and then the guy who taught us, he invited us to go to Phuket to watch him fight. So I still remember like I was just smoking and drinking my holiday away there, training for the first time in Phuket in Dragon Muay Thai. And I didn't know anything. I couldn't speak Thai. I can speak Thai now, by the way.
Yeah, you learn if you spend enough time there.
So, I was training there. I didn't know anything. We watched him fight for the first time in Bangla Stadium in Phuket. And I sat at the corner at the top on the second floor. And when I watched him fight and I watched him do the Y crew, and I knew that was what I wanted to do. Like I knew that I wanted to be a fighter, and that was when I decided. So I had no training at all. I knew nothing, but I just knew that I wanted to fight. So the moment I got back, I was like, I joined the gym. I was like, yes, like fuck pure. Like, I mean, this is what I need to do with my life.
So for you, the motivation was actually watching the fight. Was it like, because everybody's reason for doing martial arts, they all have similar-ish stories, and you generally will get the people that like discover that they liked the training so much that like they're like, I have to do this every day, and then you'll get the people like maybe you or Will Chope or something who see people fight and they're attaching it to the actual sport itself, right? Like the fighting as opposed to like the training. But it's when you saw somebody fight that you were like, oh, I need to do that.
I think it was a combination of both, really, because I mean, it was the combination of two first times, like watching like the fight for the first time, putting on the gloves for the first time, knowing absolutely nothing, but just knowing that that was what I wanted to do. I think something like that. It's pretty weird, man.
That's cool though, but you get moments like that, and as you grow older, that start to redirect your life, especially when it comes to training. Like everybody that sticks around long enough, right? All the gym warriors that come in, Juggernaut's been open for 10 years or something like that.
Yeah, just
right? They're just celebrating their 10 years. So they're one of the older ones in Singapore. And over 10 years of seeing people come in, the people that stick around, like it's very important to them. If you imagine people sticking around and training for that long, it's like something that they've all decided is extremely important for them to stick around like that, right? And they all have that story of like that one time that something happened and it
clicked.
Flipped a switch in their head and they're like, oh, I need this in my life. Whether it's like the sparring or meeting a cool coach or wanting to compete the first time and then it hits you. I remember mine. I grew up wrestling. Like amateur wrestling was my first ever thing. And the area that I live in, it's quite a popular sport. But there were no jiu-jitsu schools around. This was just like 2004, something like that, 2005. It's like UFC 50 or something back then. It's crazy how new MMA is as a sport, right? Like back when I started, there were no black belts. There were nothing, nowhere around, but they had wrestling. And then I remember I trained with this guy who I was friends with, and he had done like a month or two of jiu-jitsu or something. And I'd wrestled for years already at that point. I was like bigger and stronger than he was, right? I was like, I want to fuck this dude up. And then he wraps a triangle around my neck and holds me there and and I was on top, right? So I didn't realize as a wrestler that you could win from the bottom. Mm-hmm. And then as soon as he got me, I was like, oh, I got to think about this. And he's like, oh, you should come to a class. And I came to a class and everybody just wrecked me. And I was like, what the fuck is this stuff? I need to do this stuff. And then I started to get into MMA. And when I started watching MMA, I had that same moment with kickboxing. I moved to Canada and I trained at this place called the Adrenaline Training Center. I don't know if you've heard it. It's like Mark Hominick trains there. He fought Jose Aldo for the UFC title and Sam Stout and some old school Canadian guys. But they had a bunch of UFC fighters on the roster. And I remember the first time I went to sparring class, like kickboxing sparring, I was fucking terrible. I was shitting my pants, by the way, because I'd never been hit before really like that, right? Other than in training and trying to avoid getting taken down for MMA and stuff, but not like, you can only stand. You can't do anything else. And this dude fucked me up so bad. And then I had that other moment where I was like, okay, I gotta learn this shit now too. It wasn't enough. And so for you, I wonder what it was like did you have a similar moment when you actually had your first fight?
My first
Did you have
fight?
like out of body, because you get that weird surreal feeling where you're like, oh
dude.
Shit, what is this?
Oh, I have a story for you. My first fight was against a guy.
What? What? It was? Really? Oh shit.
Oh shit.
I want to hear this. Yeah, dude, go on. You got me. I'm hooked in, man.
Okay, so I joined the gym, which wasn't Evolve. It doesn't exist anymore. I trained so hard that I managed to fracture my spine.
Oh my god.
So, within like a month.
Did it happen in one moment or was this like over time?
I think it's over time.
Oh.
So within so imagine like smoking 40 cigarettes a day, 40 cigarettes a day.
Oh yeah.
And being drunk like every night basically. To training like twice a day, every day. From zero to hero, And then I started to feel pain in my back and I didn't stop because in my head I was like, oh, this is just normal. Like, I want to be good, so no pain, no gain, right? So I did that and then started to feel pain and I continued and the pain got worse. Got so bad that I couldn't sit up from bed one day without feeling my vision like white out.
Oh no.
Like it was so fucking bad.
Yeah, when the vision gets weird, it's scary, right?
So then I got it checked out and I had a fracture just above my hip, like the lock that holds the vertebrae together.
Oh.
I fractured that and the doctor told me that I'll never be able to do any kind of competitive sport ever again.
They always say that in Singapore.
Yeah.
I
fucking always
four
do
people
though.
that have that story, the exact same story. They're like, oh, they said I'm never training it. I'm like, what? You're like 23. What the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, they always say that. So, I mean, I very stubbornly wore a brace for a bunch of time and then I joined Evolve with my fracture. I didn't tell them about the fracture. I just joined Evolve and shut up about it.
Are you having like pain every day?
Yeah. So, I trained like 2 or 3 classes a day in complete pain and told absolutely no one about my fracture.
Wow.
Yeah, I
How
still.
long did it last? You still have pain?
No, it's fine now.
Oh.
But I did Muay Thai then. So I was doing Muay Thai then. I had pain all the time, 24 hours a day. I was in fucking pain. So like when people were like, "Oh, training's hard, I'm achy and stuff," and I'm like, "You have no fucking
Shut up.
idea." I was like,
Shut up.
"Shut the fuck
Shut
up,
up.
man." So I mean, that was just how it was for like the beginning of my journey in Evolve. Just
So how did
being-
that end in you fighting some dude for the first time?
Yeah. So.
With a broken back or whatever.
So I was gonna have my first Muay Thai fight, and then I managed to tear my knee.
Oh. How long was this into your training?
Maybe 5, 6, 7 months into Evolve. I managed to tear my meniscus,
Oh yeah,
which
got that one, too.
required an operation.
Yeah.
So I did the operation, and I went back to Evolve again a week after my op in a cast. and the trainers just looked at me like, what the fuck is wrong with this bitch? Like,
I still got 2 hands. Let's go.
yeah. So I was just there like, just angry with the world, you know. Like I was just like, this is not fair. Like, I want to fight. Like I want to be good. Like I shouldn't be this injured. Like, I mean, I am here ready to work, ready to put in this effort. Like, why are you not letting me like do this? Like, I don't understand. Like, God, you know,
Yeah.
I was just angry. Yeah. So one of the trainers, his name is Yot Sanan, Sit
Yeah.
Yotong. He doesn't work there anymore. He came up to me and he looked at me. He looked at my class, and I was just hitting the bags angrily. And he was like, he just sighed and he shook his head and he was like, "Well, obviously you're not gonna be able to kick anything, so I'm just gonna teach you how to punch."
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that was my beginning to boxing.
Just because your foot didn't work.
Yeah, because my foot didn't work. And he was,
If you never broke your foot, you'd be like an MMA Muay Thai fighter right now.
yeah, to be honest, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then, and when I started learning boxing, because he was the only boxing trainer at that point of time
Yeah.
in Evolve, and when I started learning boxing, I realized that I picked it up so much faster than I did Muay Thai. Like it was just like something clicked.
Something more natural.
Yeah.
Like natural for your.
And I started to think like, maybe I should make the switch. Yeah, because I'm very like, I feel like when I do something, I want to make it like as aesthetic, as beautiful, as perfect as possible. Like I want my boxing to be beautiful.
Yeah, your technique is really good. I was just telling you, and I told Jake before, like because your Instagram is private, right? So
Yes.
I hadn't actually seen you do anything until I spoke to Alvin, and then you accepted me or whatever on Instagram, and then I saw videos of you shadowboxing, hitting the pads, and like one of the easy ways you can tell like a square MMA fighter or a Muay Thai fighter is by looking at the shoulders, right? Because when beginners, they always have the stiff shoulders, and that's why they don't get the snap, because they don't have the full rotation of the shoulders where all the power meets, right? So changing the shoulder position, I was talking about that when I'm teaching boxing, and you had that like lead shoulder forward, and when I saw you doing the shadow boxing, I can see that the shoulders are loose and you're getting snap on the punches in the right places, and
Shoulders are everything, dude.
yeah, and I saw that when I hit, and I was like, okay, damn, she's pretty fucking good.
Yeah. So I mean, then I was like, maybe I should switch to boxing, and then I did.
So
I was
your fight with this guy, was it boxing or was it Muay Thai?
Yeah, it was boxing.
It was boxing. So tell us this story.
Yeah, so amateur tryouts came up, and there were no girls, and I was just arrogant as fuck, you know. I was just like, I can fight a boy. I want to fight a boy. Like, just let me fight a boy.
Is it in Singapore or in Thailand?
So
They don't allow that shit in Singapore.
it was an in-house fight in Evolve.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so like a kind of smoker kind of thing.
Yeah, so I was a smoker. I mean, but it was my first ever fight. Yeah. So I mean, like,
And what happened in the fight? You must have been nervous. Like, you get nervous before a
To
fight
be-
anyway. Like,
actually, to be honest, like I wasn't because I didn't know what I was getting myself into.
Ignorance is the other way you get to that point, right? Because you really just don't know. And you get those people that are like, I can do this, and they fucking believe it. And then they get in there, they're like, oops.
Yeah, so I mean, then I just like bugged him a lot, my trainer. I was just like, let me fight, I want to fight. And he was like, all right. So then, like, Papa Rich, who is the guy who was doing the matchups and stuff, he was like, are you sure? Like, he just asked, like, Yutz and I, like, are you sure? And then he was like, yeah, it's fine. So then they matched me up with some dude who was, like, way taller than me or something like this, and, like, about my weight. Some Indian dude. I don't remember his name. Yeah, and we fought.
So how did the match go? What were your thoughts going into it?
I mean, when I went into the square, we didn't have a ring at the time. I didn't know what to do, man. I was just standing there like, what the fuck do I do now?
Yeah,
Like, oh my god.
Tiffany Teo told me on the podcast that she forgot how to punch when she first got into a fight. She was just like froze up, right? And
Yeah, I
couldn't
was
remember
like-
what she's supposed to do.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, like, do I go now? Like,
I can punch now? Right?
so I mean, it was fine. Like, his nose was bleeding. I've never been hit so hard in my life,
Yeah.
but he never came back, dude.
Yeah, it's different. It's different fights, right? Like, fights are different.
Yeah.
People don't realize. Like, I'm all for hard training if it's with two people who want to do it, right? But otherwise, I generally do like Thai style, right? Like, like a touch style. You just touch. You're just playing, right? OE is optional, right? You don't have to do it, but if you want, then I'll allow it. And but then people that want to fight, they need a little bit of experience about what like getting hit hard actually feels like, right? But then I always try to tell them, but it's never the same as a fight. Like they're going to come at you full force, like actually trying to knock you out, unlike training in a fight. And then sometimes people are kind of ignorant of that and they don't really take it in until they get hit hard the first time. And the other people are like often really scared, right? Because no one's ever hit them with like a full power shot.
Yeah, I think it was a pretty douchey move on their part, though. I mean, like, no matter what, like, the other guy loses.
Well, so what were the rules for this? Was it like, could you guys knock each other out, or were there like no knockouts?
Yeah, I mean, we could. I mean, we didn't, but I mean, like, his nose was bleeding really bad because I think he didn't know how to move or block anything, so he just ate my shots, like, for free, and then he had a nosebleed.
Did you beat him? Was it a...
So they drew the
decision?
fight, I think, out of, like, for courtesy's sake.
Hmm.
So they drew the fight, but I think I won.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many fights have you had?
To be honest, I never counted, but like something less than like 15, less than 20 fights.
Yeah.
But as an amateur, like that's very few fights.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I wish
Especially
I
boxing.
had more. Like I wish I had more.
Yeah, well, you got time. You got time. We'll be out of this eventually. Are you going to do some fight on Alvin's show? Maybe?
Yeah, but I mean, Alvin wants me to focus on pros now because he feels my style is much more suited for pros. So we don't want to go down the amateur route anymore, even if it's for experience.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Because you've already fought pro, right?
No, but technically we can still fight amateurs,
Oh,
even
really?
if I've already fought pro.
You had the one pro fight, is it?
Yeah, I've had
Yeah.
the one.
How many think you would have had now if the old COVID hadn't come by?
Well, I mean, I was planning to fight like once a month, once
Yeah.
every 2 months.
Grind that early experience, eh?
Yeah, I mean, I was probably maybe like 8 now.
Yeah. Jake, you have some videos that
Yes.
Sam sent, right? Let's check these things out. Because, I want to actually look at your form. Because you got really good
It's like
shoulders. Like
A year and a
front
half
shoulder.
ago.
So which one? Do you want the fight or do you want the? I got this one. I'll just put it on. This one.
So that was the first fight.
Oh, this is the girl. This is the girl that's like 10 kilos heavier than you, right?
15.
15,
Ah.
yeah.
1 second.
So tell us this story while we're checking this fight out.
Do you want me to play it?
Because So and Sam can
So this
describe what's
was
going on
my
here.
first professional fight against this girl who has had hundreds of Muay Thai fights but no professional boxing fights. It was in Phuket under Will Chope's promotion. And then she didn't show up for weigh-ins and then showed up to the fight 15 kg overweight.
Wow.
But my coach
15, I mean-
15. So
That's like you got to eat more. Usually you have to cut weight, right? Like
Yeah.
you got to be eating more deliberately to piss someone off to come. It's like 35 pounds. That's like 5 weight classes higher.
maybe she had no intention of cutting. She was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
fight it this way, whatever.
That's definitely what happened there. But anyway, so you finished that chick?
Yes.
Nice.
I broke her nose in the 4th round, but
What was it, like a straight punch or something?
I think a right uppercut.
Mm.
But then she looked really scared and shit, and it was like 30 seconds, so I just like jabbed and like let her go.
Mm.
Because I mean, I won like all the rounds already and whatever.
Was that your last fight? That was your most recent one?
The first pro fight.
Yeah.
I mean, the last fight, yeah.
That one, right? That was
Yeah,
your most
that one.
recent. Yeah, and pull up her Instagram as well. Can
Okay,
we know your
do you want
Instagram?
that,
Because I
or-
know your Instagram's on private.
Yeah.
Do you want that, or we got this?
Yeah, what else
this
you got?
footage? Do you want this one?
So that one is just pads with Sam Baston from Tiger.
Alright.
So he was the one who offered me the sponsorship. Like I was really lucky to meet him because like he really changed my game. Like he made my inside game so much better.
Yeah, I can see that you're doing that inside work. Yeah, you used to have really good flow with your hands, man.
Like
Really
he was
loose
the
shoulders. You got good snap right at the end of the punch, right at the right spot. Body shots are good, nice and tight.
like he was the one who like was super strict on my like hands being up, like being very like sitting on my punches,
Yeah.
going to the body, changing levels. Like that was all him. Yeah.
How long did you train with him for?
For the time that I was in Tiger, so almost a year.
Nice. And now you're with Arvind, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, are they? I guess they're stuck as well, not putting on any fights, right? Nobody can do anything right now. So we just gotta wait. We gotta keep skill building. You're gonna be hungry when you come back, though.
Yeah.
Once you can get that first fight again, it might feel like new again, right? Because it's been so long. So that's sometimes what happens when you have those long breaks between fights. Then when you have another one, you're like, oh shit, I forgot what this felt like.
I'm really excited though. I mean, like, I'm one of those people who like, when I have a fight, like, it's the best thing ever. It's the most exciting thing ever. Like, I'm just very happy to be there. Like, it's.
You and I are different then, because I'm shitting myself.
Oh really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't love it. I mean, you know, it's just. I mean, I'm kind of excited. There's a small part of me that is, but it's. There's also the nervousness, the anxiety, the anxiousness. I get all that too. That tends to be the superior feeling until I'm actually moving around, right? But like once you're actually in there and the punches have gone, then I get into that state where I'm like actually like enjoying it. I'm in the flow state, right? So I'm not even really thinking about, wow, this is fun. Unless you get hit too hard one time, and then you're like, oh, this is not fun. But yeah, I don't love the build up in particular. Like 1-2 hours before the fight, that's when my anxiety peaks.
But I think a lot of it is about like how you change your mindset about that, no? Like, I mean, I used to have that as well. Like, I played tennis at a very high level when I was growing up, and then I played ultimate frisbee at a very high level after that, before I became a party animal. So
We've been through that phase. We've been through that phase. And actually, drinking for me was what actually same thing like you said, right? When you actually have a training regiment that's kind of structured, it can actually save you from all of that shit, right? Like the drinking and the smoking, and that's such a common theme with people who pick up training martial arts.
But I was never like able to control my nervousness or my anxiety or like my fear of losing until I learned how to like just embrace it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
It takes a little experience to get to that. I learned that eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, in the beginning, you're just like, oh, you're a little overwhelmed by the situation. At least I found that. Where you like, when did it get real for you though? Because there's always a point too when you're like, oh shit, you get hit with a hard shot, like a hard body shot that makes you want to fucking die, and you know.
Well, I think many times when I'm in a fight or like when I'm in a difficult situation, I question whether I want to be there.
Yeah, it's totally normal.
Yeah, but I think like you must always answer the question
Yeah.
when it happens, and my answer is always like, yes, I want to be here. Like, yes, this is difficult, but this is what I'm here for. Like, I don't. I mean, if it was easy, like I wouldn't want to do it anyway.
Yeah, well, you have a good attitude to take toward fighting because it's interesting, right? Because so how many have you had in total? How many fights have you had?
Let's say something like 15
yeah,
to
you
18. I
mentioned.
don't know.
So yeah, now you're at that point, I think, where you've had enough fights that you can like kind
Process.
of accept what it is, good or
Yeah.
bad, win or lose. Like you're gonna be fine. You're gonna make it to the next one, and all that kind of stuff. And so, how many times a year were you fighting when you were actually doing it?
As an amateur, I
Yeah.
was doing maybe like every 2 months, every 3 months, like a fight.
That's a pretty good pace, though. That's a pretty good clip for when you're first starting out.
Yeah, I mean, I would have wanted to do more, but Singapore's hard, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's your plan now with all the restrictions? Are you just stuck to like bag work at home, or I mean, we can't even do mitt work, right?
No pads.
Oh, you can do mid work actually.
They're allowing mitt work. See, I
Yeah.
keep getting this is another one of those things that people tell me different every day.
Mid work outdoors.
Outdoors
No
with a mask.
indoors. Indoors with mask.
Wait, so you can do it indoors with mask? With pad work?
I don't know. I have to check, but
Okay.
but outdoors definitely you can. Just do everything outdoors, dude. You'll be fine,
It
man.
sucks, man. Then I feel like I'm back in Thailand, right?
Yeah.
Like when I'm training outdoors again, then I'm like, oh, I forgot how horrible this heat is that you kind of just get lazy with here in Singapore.
Yeah, just do it outdoors.
But hopefully, maybe by like end of the year, you can fight again potentially.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Who finds your fights? Like, do you find fights for yourself?
When I was in Thailand, yeah, I was finding fights for myself. And as an amateur, I mean, when there were events in Singapore, I would do those. I was in the national team, so when they sent me for events, I would do those.
National team for boxing.
Yeah. So, but I mean, it was difficult to be in the national team because, I mean, it was just the organization wasn't very good. So we were
I didn't even know
always-
they had it. To be honest,
What do you mean?
women's boxing.
No, they've had it.
I didn't know. I mean, I've never seen it, so I would never
Yeah,
know.
I
But
mean,
I didn't realize.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. They're working on it. It's a work in progress and has been for a long time.
How many weight classes are there?
Uh,
How many of you are there?
well, there are. I mean, there were maybe like 4 or 5 of us. Now there may be like less. But I mean, now there are a bunch of girls who are stepping up to build the women's boxing community. So that's really nice. Hopefully, something will happen more for them in the future. Yeah, but before they started doing this, it just wasn't existent, you know. Yeah, so when we went overseas, like it was just there wasn't much support given to us, and I mean things were pretty last minute, and
Yeah, I
it was
imagine
just
it
a
would be
difficult place
difficult
to
to
be.
get you guys fights, right? I mean, I'm sure you can find some, but I feel like the matchups would be very wildly different, right? Because it's hard to find somebody that's like, okay, around your level, the same amount of experience, the
Oh, that never
same
happened.
size, right?
Because
it's tough.
you become Team Singapore and you go against like Team Thailand or
Yeah.
whatever, and they have like 200 fights and you have like 10, and you're like, hi.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, whatever.
Exactly.
Just gotta roll with it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the trick, though. Hey, it's weird too, because even in Singapore, the Muay Thai scene is much more developed than the boxing scene, like the specialist boxing, where like every gym has Muay Thai classes, but not all of them have boxing.
Yeah, but boxing's really on the rise nowadays. If you, I mean, like Spartan, like they're like opening so many different branches, and there's so many boxing gyms opening up. Even like boxing boxercise, is that what they call it? Like boxing
Yeah.
exercise gyms. Yeah, just there's a lot of boxing happening now.
Yeah, we
for
have
everyone.
specifically boxing classes. I insisted on it. I was like, we're not only going to have like kickboxing or Muay Thai. We need actual boxing class. Speaking of boxing, did you? I asked you. You told me you saw that Canelo just fought today.
Yes.
He just fought Billy Joe Saunders. And what did you think about it? What did you think about the fight?
Well, I'm a huge Canelo fan, so I'm just very happy that he won. I'm not so much a fan of Saunders. Why
is that?
What
Just
did you
because he
think?
talks shit and he's crazy?
No, I like him talking shit. I mean, he's not crazy. Why do you think?
I mean, he's a little, but, you know, he's just wild, right? He's like Tyson Fury. Like, they're both very just outgoing. And why don't you like him? Or you just like Canelo so much?
Did you see the one where they made like this mini baby ring for him to be in?
Many.
Because he was protesting the fight about not wanting to fight because the ring was too small or whatever.
That was for this fight?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I didn't see.
Like if I'm not wrong, like Saunders wanted to fight in a smaller, in a bigger ring, and Canelo wanted a smaller ring, and then he almost pulled out because he was complaining that the ring wasn't the right size or something.
Can you find that, Jake?
Yeah, I'm sure look now. But yeah, Saunders said he was going to pull out because he wanted 22, and
Yeah.
he was 18, I think, in the end. So I can't remember. But yeah,
They didn't have that agreed on before the fight? So what, he just complained and then it just turned you off? You were like, nah, dude. Fuck
No,
you,
it's
Canelo
just
all the way.
like, oh my god, just. I mean, okay, I can understand at this level, maybe like if your style is to like play distance and to run away and to have ring craft, then maybe you would want a bigger ring.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm pro Canelo, so like,
Canelo's-
give him the small ring so he can beat the shit out.
I mean, he just cuts people off and beats them down. Did you think? Did you think that Billy Joe had won any rounds? Because I think
Yeah, I did.
the judges had given him a couple rounds, and one judge even had him ahead, which I thought was a little crazy.
No.
Yeah, there was one judge
Yeah.
that had him ahead in the fight. And I was like, what? What are we watching? And then by the end, like, Canelo just breaks people down. Right, they're a little feisty in the first few rounds. Once they hit the mid rounds and the late rounds, he just starts to wear them down and beat on them. And he was hurting Billy Joe so bad in the body that he kept dipping every time to try to get in the clinch.
See the right uppercuts straight to the
Allah.
body. Well, those are so good.
Yeah, you might be able to find that as well, Jade. Probably on Instagram or something. See if you can find the finish, because he pulled back and he backslid perfectly, and then came down and hit him with the uppercut when he was trying to clinch. Beautiful timing, and he had to. This is why I always tell my students too about like wrong punching, because they teach you to punch a certain way, right?
Yeah.
But he's back pulled, and then he came low. Like you would never advise a student to punch like that, right? But he knew where his head was, so even though he slipped as he's rolling down, he threw that uppercut where his like palm was coming from the ground and just crushed him with it.
But you know what the best thing is? That you teach them all the right punches, but then once you learn the rules, then you start to break them.
Yeah. And then you can manipulate the game.
That's the beauty of boxing. That's why I love it.
Yeah. Boxing is also, I think, the most, I mean, definitely of all of the striking martial arts, it's the most systemized, and it's the most it's got the most history of people really, really building it. Like, I'm sure in Thailand they do too, but let me ask you your opinion on this. But I feel like the training in Thailand, and partly it's a Western barrier, right? Because I don't speak the language. Mm-hmm. But I feel like they're so drill heavy and they're so repetition heavy that and also because of the language barrier, I don't really get to have them go in depth and explain why I'm doing something wrong or what some of them can do it a little bit, but even their mentality is just like 50 kicks, 100 kicks. The clinching they're very specific on though. That one they have really dialed in. But boxing trainers, you have to go deep, man. Boxing is so complex that like those boxing trainers can tell you like, oh, exactly how to fight this person in the southpaw stance when they're doing this kind of thing, and they're hand parrying here, and they come up with all these game plans. And I just feel like boxing is much more dialed in scientifically than like Muay Thai, which is very just heavy.
To be honest, I think it's a combination of both. First is the language barrier.
Yeah.
Second is like remembering that they always start as children.
Yeah,
so they have like all this sparring experience that is like irreplaceable, that starts when you're a kid. So for them, like the understanding of rhythm and movement and like, I don't know, when to move your head and when to do this and when to do that just can't, like, sometimes it just can't be put into words. Like they just know.
And what's weird about them too is their body knows how to do it before they actually know what it is.
So to get them to put it into words, to explain it to you, is just, especially in a language that they don't it's just hard, man.
It's true. It's true.
So when I was there, like I spent, I would say maybe 4 years of my career being taught by Thais. My first trainer was Yotsanan, my second was Oledong, and then my third was Sam Bastin, and Arvin's my latest trainer. So my initial instruction in boxing like functioned without words, basically.
Yeah. It does for a lot of people if they start training with Thais. I was the same way. I lived with my coach for 2 years and trained with him, and I got pigeon Thai the whole time.
Yeah.
But after a while, you start to figure out each other's rhythm on the pad work and stuff, and then you can start getting smooth and working on stuff. But initially, you're just like, what was he telling me to do? Like, so that could be a problem. But you do build it over time, though. Hey, even if their language is limited, you still eventually start to figure out what each other mean.
Yeah, but like sometimes now because I teach at Juggernaut a little bit, and when I teach my students, like I explain to them, oh, you jab like this because you want to do this so that you can do that. And I'm like, sometimes I think like no one's ever explained it to me this way.
Yeah.
But I think like my understanding of the theory of boxing, or like why you do things this way, I guess maybe just comes because I like to focus on details. Yeah. But I think that just comes with experience, man. You just got to keep doing it.
Well, it's different too when you're coaching, right? Because generally the objectives are different, right? If you're fighting or you're training for a fight, you're fighting for that fight, right? That's your goal, is to win the fight or whatever. But when you're teaching students and that's your objective, then now the most important thing to learn is how to efficiently teach this information so that they can retain it in as little amount of time as possible. Because everybody wants big gains. Everybody wants to see, oh, they're objectively getting better, right? So it's like the rules change a little bit when you're shifting the lens from like improving your own skill set and then teaching it. But like when you get more, and I was a teacher before I started teaching martial arts or anything, so I had a little practice doing it, but the theory starts to really get fun and opened up once you have like that nice base of knowledge, and then you start trying to teach it to people, because then you understand, like, for example, why you need the outside position on the front foot if you're fighting like in a closed stance, fighting a southpaw or something like that. Why do you want to be outside that lead foot? Because it opens up certain angles for you straight and all these kind of things. You got a hand fight because the hands are closer and the legs are closer, right? All that little nuance that you start to get when you actually start learning shit. It's like, oh damn, then you see really how deep these boxing trainers in particular, how deep they go and how well versed they are. Like, and it's the same if you're rolling with like a jiu-jitsu black belt that's a teacher or something like that, right?
It blows your mind.
Yeah, and they know so much. And the good thing about being a good coach, the goal is to get those people that can like get you there with efficiency in the least amount of time possible. Right? That's a great coach. A great coach like gets your skills to the front as quickly as possible. Because then everybody wants to train with those guys, right? Like you get like in jiu-jitsu, you get Danaher or something like that, right? Everybody wants to go train with him because all of his students got so good so fast, and he's so efficient at teaching the shit that he's doing that they develop that style, right? But I think Arvin, he's probably the longest running boxing trainer in Singapore at this point, right? He's the first boxing guy I met when I moved here, and that was 10 years ago or something like that. And then I fought for him at SFC.
Oh, I did too.
Yeah, and then I judged for him and refereed for him as well for those events. So I've known him for like a lot of years now, and he's 10 years in Singapore is quite long, right? For these gyms.
He was the one who... So I fought at his event when I was still in Evolve. Like I saw that he was organizing an SFC.
Which one was that?
It was the one at the pavilion. I cannot remember
one,
which number. No, not the first one. Maybe 2 or 3.
I think I fought at 4 or 3. One of those.
Yeah, it was the one at pavilion opposite Evolve Far East Square.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I just texted him and I was like, "Can I fight in this?" And he was like, "Okay." So he gave me this Malaysian girl to fight, and then I KO'd her. Thank God, because my parents, who weren't very supportive at that time, came to watch. So if I didn't KO her, maybe I wouldn't be boxing anymore.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
So
if the reverse had happened, it's tough to explain that with your parents. Listen, Mom and Dad, everybody gets knocked unconscious in boxing. It's fine. Don't think that'll go over well with Mom and Dad.
Yeah, but he was the first one. Like, I went to say thank you.
What did they say after, your parents, after the fight?
They didn't.
Were they like, what was it, you know what I mean? What's their
They're
reaction?
very traditional, you know.
They don't talk about it.
Yeah, they don't talk about it.
I've noticed that about Chinese parents. My wife is Chinese, so they just don't talk about stuff. Like, she's like, oh yeah, I was raised my whole life with just like never actually talking. They're just like, you do shit and you do it and that's it. No opinion strongly one way or the other. Of course they have the opinions, they just won't say them.
I mean, they do their best now to support me in whatever way that they can, but I mean, it's hard for them because I mean, I went the traditional route, I went to school and everything, and then I just did this, beat people up, you know.
Yeah, yeah. The Chinese Singaporean parents are weird. I remember when I first met Charmaine's parents. Like, imagine meeting me.
How was that?
Like, fucking white, bald, tattooed guy comes in, rolling up. Hey, can I have your daughter's hand? Some shit like that. So yeah, and I asked Charmaine. I was like, so how do they like me? You know what I mean? Like, do they like me? And she was like, they didn't say anything about it. And I'm like, that's probably not good because they don't talk about it. I'm like, all right. They accepted me eventually. Like your parents have finally just come to terms with it and they accept it a little easier now?
Yeah, I mean, my dream is to one day like really be a champ, get a belt, and then because I mean, for me, that would be like showing them that I really did succeed at the thing that I set out to do, you know. So I mean, that's the dream for me. But Arvin was the first one who so after I came down from that stage, and I said hi to my parents and thanked them for coming. I said thank you to Arvin for giving me the opportunity to fight in his card. And he told me to come look for him when I wanted to turn pro. So he was the first one who kind of brought up pros to me. So when I decided to turn pro and I came back to Singapore post-COVID, I went back to find him. Like the first one. He was the first one I went back to find. So it all comes a full circle, you know.
Nice. That's good. That's very cool. And now you got a place in town anyway that's got like an established history of training boxers. And happy to be here. Once we got to these fucking lockdowns again.
It'll be alright, bro.
Are you going to keep it together or are you going to do what I'm going to do and just gain a bunch of weight get fat. You know, because I'm not gonna go run. Do you
No,
enjoy
dude,
running?
I mean, it's all right.
It's the worst, dude. I can't handle it. And so I'm just like, all right, man, because at least last time all of the bars and everything were still closed, right? Everything was closed, and you kind of just went out and got your food and came back. And was this hers?
Yep.
And should come back on in a second. And so the first thing, this is going to be one of those weird, awkward pictures that I got to take. Maybe. Sorry, everybody listening. We have a camera malfunction. And we're back. And I got an awkward photo. See? The ghost camera. Don't worry, it's not going to be in the footage. It was on me, so.
That's okay.
Fuck, I lost my train of point now. Oh, yeah, so I was just saying
Running.
Running. Running sucks. So I basically just accepted that I'm just going to sit home and get fat. What are you going to do? You're going to do outside classes? How long are you going to do that?
Dude, I'm gonna train, bro.
See, I'm getting shamed on my own podcast for my laziness. Jake's like, yeah, dude, I've been training 5 hours a day.
Like, fuck out. I've been skateboarding, that's it.
So are you going to follow my method and just say fuck it and get fat? Or were you, because you can't, all your gyms are closed too?
Yeah, I'm out of everything, so I need something to do with my kids, so I just got my own skateboard and went and bought my kids' skateboard. It's like, oh,
You're coming back from 2 leg injuries. Why are you getting on a skateboard? That is the dumbest shit I've ever heard in my entire life. You had 2 leg injuries over the last month.
I had to strengthen my ankle back up. It's fine. That's my
He fucked his ankle up, and then he tore something or whatever in his knee or his calf, and he had calf cramps on me when he was training for 2 straight weeks. Then he's like, I was going to fucking skateboard.
Are you good at skateboarding?
I used to be, and it turns out not anymore.
I mean, I wanted to skateboard and then I fucked my wrist up so bad from it. I love skateboarding.
I think it does absolute wonders for your balance for jiu-jitsu, because you balance on a little plank of wood going super fast down hills and stuff. Then it's easy to,
then find me one person who's never been horrifically injured on a skateboard.
You
I got
should try
2 out of 2, and you're fucking. What my ass needs is to fall on a skateboard.
But there's just something fun about it. You should try it.
What about a bicycle or get a motorbike?
There's something satisfying about the skateboard.
I don't know. What about a scooter?
Dude, just try it, babe. Trust me.
Dude, I try that. I want to be on the ground like Jake, who's will be guaranteed. The next time I send you a message, it'll be about, oh, Jake hurt his back or Jake did something.
No, I'm back into it. It took me about a day to get my balance back, and then once I got that, I was like, oh yeah, actually, I really enjoy this. Why have I not been doing it?
But you know for a fact that you don't have. There's a 0% chance that you don't eventually fall off that thing.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna go. Once I start getting confident again and trying to jump over shit and grind things, then I'm fucked. But I'm not doing that at this moment in time. I'm being sensible right now.
Well, work on your break fall. That's my only suggestion: is work on your break falling, because you're definitely gonna need it.
Yeah, the last time I skateboarded, I didn't know jiu-jitsu. I'd basically not done it since I was a kid.
Me too.
I'm fine now. I can break fall.
Isn't it weird?
I still can't break fall.
You still can't?
That's why I fucked up my wrist, because I didn't know how to break fall.
Hey, girl. Hey, you got all this time with no gyms and sees your fucking house, side rolling, inverting on the mats. It's weird, though. It's actually one of the most universally underrated skills that you learn when you're grappling for the first time. Nobody wants to do it, right? When you have to do them, okay, 10 break falls in your class, or side break falls, or forward break falls. In your head, you're just like, this is so stupid. Why am I doing this? And then you realize that, pretty much everybody, as they get older, eventually start to fall down, or they'll trip and fall. And if you actually are really good at break falling, you actually can save yourself from some pretty gruesome injuries, especially as you get older.
Yeah, it goes back to what you were saying though about with the punches and stuff. You can't explain it. In a way, you can't explain break falling because you don't know whether you can do it or not until you actually have to do it. And then you're like, oh, I've got a magic power. I can fall over and not be hurt. This is brilliant.
The judo guys get it really well. My student Sid, the one that competed in the sambo competition, this motherfucker picked him up in a fireman's carry, right? And Sid was Sid's tall. Sid's 6'4", and the guy's about his height, just jacked, right? Picked him up in a fireman's carry, jumped and threw him. Sid's body was parallel to the top of that door, right? It was ridiculous how much height he had, and just boom, hand goes right next to the hip slap, and then you see that moment, because he had that moment where he's like, I don't know if I'm going to survive this, right? And then as soon as he hit the mat, you see him look around am I alive? And he's like, it's totally fine, because boom, perfect break fall, happened in the moment, but once you actually tumble through the sky like that and you land, you have that one moment where you're like, what the fuck happened? Am I good? Is anything broken?
Tim, the judo coach, sent me for a little ride because someone had told me, oh, judo's fine, just as long as your hips are underneath their hips.
Yeah.
You can't do anything. That is bullshit. He sent me fucking flying. Boom. Oh, I'm alright.
See? And then you're like, oh, I have learned a valuable skill over these years. That's not the skill you want to find out in a fight, whether you have it or not, though, to be fair.
Yeah.
Break falling.
Yeah.
So if you have to do it, most likely you're flying through the air. So that would not be the ideal moment to, I wonder if I can do this now.
Maybe I should learn it. I mean,
How many years did you do jiu-jitsu?
I have done 0 jiu-jitsu.
But I thought you said you did MMA training.
No,
you
no,
just
no.
do Muay Thai and boxing.
Just Muay Thai.
Never done any.
I wasn't involved. I did 0 classes.
Oh, you're one of those.
Yeah, I have like personal space issues, man. I'm like, don't.
So you don't like dudes being on top of you, just being like,
Yeah. Just like,
you're just like, oh my god.
I was just like, nah, man.
It's fucking heaving all over you, sweating all over you, and
I
their
mean-
chest hair in your mouth and shit.
I just never got around to it. Like,
It's weird that you don't like that.
I mean,
All us dudes like it for some reason.
Yeah.
No, it's
Just-
pretty fun. I'm making a joke of myself and my own expenses. See?
That's a very uncomfortable.
Like, I'm extremely uncomfortable, by the way you described that. But yeah, so you never got the bug for that one, huh?
I never tried, but I mean, like, seeing as how it's so like intelligent and so many like techniques and stuff, I think I'll really like it.
Yeah, if you decided to go down that road.
But I mean, like,
But then if you want to be a pro boxer, you have to decide like how much of your time can you actually.
that's why I haven't
to
started,
that.
because I'm just thinking like maybe I'll start when I retire.
You know what? It's actually a good move, honestly, because boxing, striking, like you got a short window in that. You know, like your prime is like 28 to 34, 35, and then you
Yeah.
start to go downhill pretty quick. Like it's so fast twitch, right? The reflexes and everything are so important, and so especially like lighter weights, right? They really have to rely on the quick reflexes, and that shit goes quick once you hit your mid 30s, late 30s. The heavyweights who have more power and can be defensively very strong can have careers like later on in their 40s and stuff like that. But for most people, if you're not a heavyweight, yeah, you got till you're like 34. If you started jiu-jitsu then, you could still get really, really good at it.
Oh,
if you
yeah?
started in your 30s, and you can grapple until you're like dead pretty much. You know, if as long as you chill, like you box long enough now to know like that relaxed state of like hyper focus where when you're doing the pad work, you're not like muscling it anymore, right? But you still figured out how to get power
Flow
with the flow and the snap, right? So jiu-jitsu is like that too. When you first start, people tend to get injured a lot because they're very tense and they're trying to fucking like goon you and gorilla you and just use their strength and stuff. But then as you train more and more, you get to hit that state where it's like way more efficient to just flow into the movements and you're not like tense. And once you get there, you really don't get injured as much. So you can train jiu-jitsu until those Gracies do it till they're fucking dead, dude. Like 90 years old, they're still flipping each other and shit.
Dude, I'm more afraid that my brain's gonna go, man.
Yeah, I mean, how many do you think? You said you don't watch a whole lot of boxing, but I'm sure you've trained enough. And how many do you think you get? Like, how many times can you potentially get like knocked out or TKO'd? Even in training, right? The other thing to think about is like the sub-concussive blows that you take regularly in the gym. When you're
Yeah.
doing the pad work and coach fucking hits you in the face and you're like, oh, bitch, you know, or when you catch a good one in sparring or.
Yeah, but that's why like defense is so important.
Yeah.
Like for me, like one of the most important things is like head movement. Like that's a huge thing for me. Like it's super like important for my game. Like I put like great emphasis on it because I don't want like to take shots full. Like I don't want to get hit. Like I don't want to retire stupid. You know what I mean?
And boxing, they get hit the most. You guys get hit the most in the head. Like if there's one thing I would tell people to avoid if they want to not have CTE is boxing. Because in MMA you can kind of cheat, right? You can grab people, you can clinch a lot more, you can wrestle more.
You don't
you
get
can
hit
use
so much.
You don't get hit as much. Even in Muay Thai, right? You don't get hit nearly as much. They're clinching a lot. They're throwing a lot more body strikes, low kicks, body kicks, and knees and stuff like that. And the elbows are mostly to cut. So, and you can clinch off on the punches so much. Occasionally you'll get the old shin to the head, but which is not ideal either. But I think the
Boxing is,
boxers
like,
take the
repetitive.
most. Yeah, they take the most. That's smart though. Defense is definitely the move. You do a lot of head movement drills, a lot of blocking drills.
Like I'll make myself like I'll put myself in a like when I teach my students as well, like I'll tell them like the first thing you do is like I'll tell them like the most important thing is defense.
Yeah, that's smart. I do the same.
Yeah, and I'll never let them like for my classes like I don't focus on hard sparring.
Yeah.
Most of the time I do like maybe 30-40%. And then if they have a fight, which I just started teaching there, so I haven't had students who will have fights because COVID.
Yeah.
But I mean, when they do have fights, then I'll put in hard sparring. But till then, like, no. Like, I just want them to focus on being smooth, like learning how to flow, having like good technique, because technique is what's going to see you through, you know?
Yeah, that's smart, and that's 100% right. Everybody, the first thing they should learn is like defense, whether it's jiu-jitsu, boxing, wrestling, whatever. And yeah, because you get so many more headshots, right? And then I think in the sparring, like you can go pretty decently hard to the body. That's okay. Like no one's like dying from liver shots or something. I mean, they wish they were dead, but they're not actually. Like you get hit with a good liver shot. Oh man, it just collapses you, makes everything tighten up. And you can go a little harder to the body, but even to the head. Like I always go like touch speed, like just touching the head, even in like for fight camp, because my philosophy is save it for the fight. I don't want you taking any damage to the head. If you have to in the fight, whether you want to or not. So save it for the fight. That's what I think, because you can touch the head. You can, and if you have good people, right, they can control. They can go really quick still, and then land like a 30% shot, right? Not a hard one that would actually ring your bell, but one that's hard enough to let you know you got caught. But that's what you want, right? If you want to actually take the hard shots to the head, then fight. You will. They're coming. You know what I mean? They're coming whether you like it or not.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I just protect myself. I just focus on my head movement, my defense, and then whatever situation I'm in, I just make sure that I protect myself and I'll be okay.
What kind of drills are you doing to like work on your head movement?
Well, I do a lot of things where like sometimes I just I'll have drills where I purposely put my head in a position to get hit, and then I'll get people I trust to throw things at me. Because if I trust them and they're people like who care about me, I know that they're not gonna hurt me.
Or if they have control.
And they have control.
They can love you, but they can still do stupid shit if they don't have any control yet.
So they'll throw like long, fast shots without power, and then I'll get to slip all those things, and that's what really gets me like good head movement. So I've learned like how to move my head in different positions, different angles, like learn like rhythm and like when to move, when to not. Like feet position and things like that. Sometimes I'll do like things where I like let the people throw jabs, and then I'll drop my hands and only use my head and my feet to move. Sometimes I'll have like guys of different heights do that.
Yeah.
Because then everyone will have a different range and different tempo.
Different angle the punches are coming in from as well, depending on the height.
So then I'll go with a different guy every round so that I have to switch the way I move every round. So something like that. So I'll do like all this stuff to train myself to be able to switch with every situation.
Yeah, that's good. And it's good that you do a lot of the defensive work, because not a lot of people do that, especially like when they do the pad work, the kind of day-to-day pad work. I see so many students just like calling offense only.
I mean, to be honest, like this kind of stuff, you just have to be like proactive with it, because no one's gonna, you are responsible for your own training. Like you cannot expect like people to baby you all the way.
Yeah.
You know, like if you want to be good, then you have to sit down and determine like what you need for yourself to improve. You can't just expect people to throw techniques into your lap. Like it's just not gonna work that way.
And you have to drill like moves for a long time, right? Like you need to take months to just work on one specific skill set, right? Like even just talking about that Canelo fight, man, his head movement, he's got the best in the game right now. It's insane. And if you watch him when he moves, he's established this rhythm where he turns his shoulders, and he's always like stepping and feinting. So he's got the lead shoulder forward, right? And he's always turning, and then he'll double up on the side, and he's going, but he's changing the rhythm each time. So that way he's always ready to move his head and then snap right into punches.
Have you seen the
right
one
away.
where if the punch is coming and then he can't avoid it, he turns with the punch?
Yeah, I know.
So it misses him like just nice. Oh,
yeah,
that one's
there's
so
a
good.
video. Can you see if you can find this, Jake? There's a video of him doing it with what's the big heavyweight knocked out Joshua. He's fucking right on the tip of my tongue. He just fought Andy Ruiz. He has a
Butter bean?
No, Andy Ruiz.
Oh,
you
yes.
know Andy Ruiz?
Yes.
There's a video of him. See if you can find Jake of him and Canelo. You can even type it in something like Canelo shows Andy Ruiz his shoulder roll, and it's him teaching Andy Ruiz how to do it. It's just such a Canelo thing. So yeah, even if he does get hit, his reflexes are so good that he turns his head, turns his shoulder, and then steps off. So he's got the angle. Yeah, this is going to be a weird one, but it should be Canelo teaching Andy Ruiz patented shoulder roll or something like that. Yeah, let me just show a minute of this here. You may have to zoom around until you actually find. Yeah, it was this video. And that's him doing it right there, I think. Yeah, look at that. Can you put it up?
Yeah. Do you want it from there?
Yeah, sure.
Let me see if I can find it.
Shouldn't get us pulled down, hopefully. But yeah, So right as he gets hit, boom, look at that. There's just nowhere for it to go. He's moving backwards, so it's going to take any power off the punch, even if he gets hit in the top of the head. Right? So for the listeners, he's like stepping out and he's shoulder rolling as he's pivoting to his right. Canelo does this all the time. And he's got the hand out. The only place you could hit him would be like above the glove. Right? If you caught him like right just here above the ear. But because he's moving back at the same time, all the force is going to be taken away from that punch, and he just turns and rolls with it. That's a tough defense to deal with.
Yeah.
Like, how are you going to hit him like that? As long as he's got good footwork and he can keep staying out of the corner.
Gotta love Canelo. I'm sorry, like he's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, if you love boxing, how can you not love Canelo? He's just crushing everybody right now. And it goes to show you how good Floyd Mayweather is.
Oh.
Like, little dude, too. Look at this. If you put, like, this version of Canelo, this, like, light heavyweight version of Canelo could literally, like, eat Floyd. That's how much weight he's gained. He fought a light heavyweight.
What do you think of Floyd and Logan?
Oh, God.
Did you see the cap, the cap thing?
No, what happened? Oh, I saw the headline, but I didn't get a chance to watch it. What did he do? He took
Like he snatched his cap and like ran away, and then like Floyd like chased after him. Like, I'm gonna kill you, motherfucker.
Can you pull this up? I haven't seen this. Oh, that's hilarious.
I mean,
what do you think about it? I mean, you're the boxer here. What's your take on the Pauls and
I think
all of this
they're
stuff?
three incredibly smart people.
Very shrewd businessmen.
Yeah.
They know how to generate hype.
Yeah, like 2 Pauls and 1 Mayweather, like just 3 fucking intelligent people know how to make money, you know?
They're gonna make so much money, dude. All those two combined.
Like, I mean, like,
It might be the most viewed boxing fight
Yeah.
of all time for me, just because of its shenanigans, right? It's so insane.
like, people hate this shit, but like, they still watch it. That
Exactly.
doesn't- Yeah, that doesn't
And
fucking change
everybody has
anything.
gotten to that state. They're like, well, I'll watch it. Like that's everybody's mentality for this fight, which is whatever. It is what it is, right? You got it? Where he snatched his cap?
Is it this
kind
one?
of sounds
No, not
like-
this
Oh, this
one.
is Jake Paul.
Not this one. Oh, yes, this one, I think. I don't know.
That's Jake Paul, not even Logan, right?
No, it's Jake who wants to kill. Like,
Oh, okay, I see.
Oh, yeah.
so he's like, got your hat.
What a fucking troll, dude. He just snatched his hat off of his head. Floyd's chasing him down. Is that his uncle? Is Roger's getting in there? Wow, they're on the ground. Like this guy just does not give a shit, right? Any press is good press. Wow. No, what do you think about the fight? Like, obviously they're both going to get paid. It's pretty low risk. Like, Floyd can easily control him.
Before that, what do you think about the Askren fight?
Oh, I mean, it was sad. I'm team MMA still. Like, that's my favorite thing to watch and to do. So it was pretty rough. Plus, Paul's such a fucking chode that kind of, everybody wants to see him lose, and people are paying to watch him lose. But he was not the flag bearer that we needed. He's the one we wanted, but he's not the one that we needed.
Did you see, though, that then Jake Paul's mouthing off to DC?
Yeah.
And you're like, mate, DC, will kill you. Like, he could literally kill Jake Paul without even breaking a sweat. And you're like, alright, you're not Ben Askren out. You had a few amateur fights. It'd be like me winning, like, a jiu-jitsu contest here and then fucking mouthing off to Gordon Ryan. It's
Yeah.
stupid. Like,
Yeah. It's weird, too, because, well, that's how you know he just doesn't care, because he's just doing it to publicity. He knows Cormier's not going to hit him, right? He knows he's not going to fight him. Like, there'd be a massacre, right? So he goes in there, and then they start talking, and in his head, all he can see is just like, cha-ching! He just sees those little fucking cat eyes exploding over his head.
He's so incredibly young.
I know, they're like 25 or something, right?
Yeah, and he's done all this stuff at that age. He's built all this money.
And he doesn't even have that many skills.
Yeah.
But the skills that he does have, like marketing himself and
Yeah.
filming it and doing all this, fuck.
I think it's crazy. I think he's an incredibly smart person. Like, for all the
Yeah.
shit that he is, like, he's just incredible.
They know how to market themselves, that's for damn sure.
Mm.
I mean, how many pay-per-view buys did that Ben Askren? Can you,
Did 70 million, I think, the dollars. That's it.
how many?
70 million.
Can you see?
I think.
Have they released how many pay-per-view buys it did? Maybe you can check. You can check and see, because I bet you it's more than all the big MMA shows without Conor McGregor attached to it. I bet you they made more pay-per-view than that. Because I think it was a lot, and half the people that watched it illegally on their phone. They didn't even pay for it. So whatever paid for it, the number is actually way higher of people who actually saw it.
1.5 million. It says
1.5
like-
million. That's a lot, man.
That's bigger than any UFC recently.
And that's the people that paid for it, which was like 10% of the people that watched it.
Askren made $1 million, right, from getting
I think it
KO'd.
was $500,000.
Yeah.
And then Jake Paul made $700K, but that was just the fight purse.
Yeah, that's not pay-per-view cut as well.
Incentives and stuff like that. I'm sure they have more in the contract. But yeah.
I mean, for like showing up for like 2 minutes, I mean...
Here's a question. If you're Askren, was it worth it?
I mean, yeah.
It was worth it?
Would it be worth it?
I mean, he has Masvidal in that back-to-back. That's, if you think about Ben Askren's career and how dominant he was for so long and how much work he did, and he fucked everybody up, and then his last 2 fights are getting like wrecked for the all-time record knockout against Jorge, and then getting knocked out by fucking Jake Paul.
I know he lost the fight, but like he lost the battle but won the war, though, Ben Askren, because in like all the press interviews and stuff like that, he won every single like verbal argument in words, and actually came across as like a pretty chill guy and quite a funny guy, and Jake Paul came across as a dick. So
Yeah. But he's trying. That's what he's trying to do, right? Same thing with Cormier stuff. They're just talking shit. So what do you think about the fucking disaster that will be Logan Paul and Mayweather?
I think it's gonna be good. I'm gonna watch it. I'm
He's
okay
gonna be
to watch
50,
it.
He's gonna be 50 pounds heavier than Floyd, probably.
Probably, yeah.
Because I think they walk around 200 pounds, 190, something like that. Floyd's like 165,
But I think Logan's actually gonna train for this fight seriously. He's actually gonna give it his best shot.
God, could you imagine if he won though?
Yeah, I know that's the best
my God,
part.
that would just break the internet if he knocked him out or something. Like,
No, because I have a friend who trained with the Paul brothers, or like watched them train and whatever, and she like kind of mentioned that they train really hard, man. Like they train seriously and they take their boxing seriously. They don't joke around about it.
they have to. They talk so much shit that they have to train hard. Otherwise,
So can you imagine if Logan actually takes his camp seriously and he's young and he puts in the effort and he's actually not a bad boxer? Like,
I think they're both good boxers. Like, I think you can just see them hit the mitts and you can see them.
it might be
fight.
interesting.
Plus, how old is Floyd now? Is he 40?
Isn't he 40 plus?
I don't know, can you-
he's older than me.
Can you check and see? And so he's going to be giving up 50 pounds. And then, but boxing's so fucking sketchy, right? Like, boxing's so shady that you don't actually know, because it's technically an exhibition. If they're going to have these walk-arounds, like with the Tyson fight, where they're like, go hard to the body, but let's not really knock each other out, right? You just never know what these old people fighting. Like, apparently Holyfield's coming back too.
Oh,
And
is
then
he?
and then you got the Roy Jones Jr. and the Tyson thing, and they were going hard enough, but they obviously have deals to not like.
But the old people fight was like so.
I still watched it. This is like Triller's fucking motto. It's like, well, I'll watch it. That's the whole business model.
And yet we all just sit there going, I just want to see Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury fight, and no, I get this shit.
And they're like, nope, you're gonna watch Andy Ruiz knock out like a 40-year-old boxer from like 10 years ago. And I was like, okay, I guess. Yeah, I mean, when are we gonna get a unified heavyweight title in boxing? It's been fucking ages. It's been ages.
I mean, nothing's the same as Tyson. I just
Yeah.
like Alvin just sent
Fury
me.
or Mike? Fury or Mike? Okay.
Mike, dude.
I don't know. Tyson Fury's cool. Tyson Fury's
Fury's
cool.
alright, but like Mike Tyson, man.
I used to like Deontay Wilder a lot.
Why?
Because his record was ridiculous. It was like 38 wins and 36 knockouts or something. It was fucking ridiculous.
No, but
And then he like totally douched it up in the Fury rematch, and I'm just like, oh man.
It wasn't even the rematch, it was all the shit he was saying after it.
That's what I mean. Like the actual fight itself, the goofy ass suit that he said was too heavy, and then making excuses for it,
Tyson
saying he
Fury
had
used
loaded
magic
gloves.
on me. Like, what?
Yeah, it's like, oh, man, he was such a good. He's the biggest finisher in the history of boxing. But yeah, he fucked that one up. But I still like Tyson Fury. He's a weird dude. I like that. I'm into that.
I like the entertaining dudes.
Yeah, me too. Even if they're weird, those are always the guys that I like a lot. That's why I prefer him over like Joshua or something like that. Because Joshua is just a standard pretty
He's so
boy.
cookie cutter, like-
I know exactly.
So
I want to see beer drinking, coke snorting Tyson Fury like go out there and win. Right? He's such a character. That's the thing I liked about Billy Joe Saunders as well, is he's got that similar kind of thing going on. They're friends, and
Is he nuts? I don't know much.
yeah, him and Tyson Fury are like training partners.
I think they're cousins.
Yeah, I think they're cousins, and they like grew up similarly and went through the ranks together, and they're both fucking weird and really
Okay.
fun to watch.
There you go, that's fair.
Yeah. Tyson Fury though, what a goofy guy. All right, man. Well, probably about the time to wrap this thing. Sam, is there anything else you wanted to talk about, or Jake?
Should we just give a quick shout
So it's been an hour
out
and a half.
to Lion City?
Yeah.
Is Alvin still looking for fighters?
Among the other things.
As well as a venue, the COVID situation to be over and several other things. He's still looking for fighters.
Or even one. I'm curious about, like, one was supposed to do a bunch of shows. Are they still allowed to do that? And then, because Lion City had to move its dates back because the COVID restrictions impacted events as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they have to reduce the sizes. And so competitions were just starting to come back. I'm starting to see people do the local competitions, ready for the SEA Games. Rolling was back, sparring is back. And then backslide. Boom.
It's all right. It's 3 weeks. We got this.
Yeah. Was there anything else you wanted to hit up, dude? Do you have anything else you want to show us or you want to talk about?
No, I'm good. I mean, it's been a fun time.
Time flies by, right? That was an hour and a half already. Time flies by. All right, everybody. Well, I'm glad we got to do this, Sam. I was saying at the beginning of the podcast, this one seemed cursed for a while, though. We tried to get her on like 3 times, and we had to cancel, and then Jake got the COVID shot. And then, but we made it happen today, so it's nice to meet you.
It's
and
nice to
I look
meet
forward
you
to training with you. Everybody should check out Sam's Instagram. Oh wait, they can't follow you because you got that shit
Follow
locked
me.
down. What's the motivation behind that? Was it Instagram creeps?
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Dude,
right?
I need
Charmaine
to
gets them
stop
all the
getting
time.
dick pics.
I know. Dick pics from Indian dudes. Like Charmaine, honestly, I'm not being racist. I've just seen them. And there are some aggressive ass Indian dudes who slide in the DMs all the time on Instagram.
I just need to stop getting the dick pics, dude. It's just too much, man.
It's just a never ending wave of dick pics over on your phone, dude. So you're like, boom, private. And Charmaine gets them all the
I've had
time.
enough.
It's a dick tornado just coming through your phone every day.
What the fuck?
But we've got. I think we should film some videos and stuff like that because we can still film bizarrely. You can't train, but you can film people training. So if people want it, we can film some content.
Yeah, so that's a trick for you. If you want to train, just get your training partner, film it, and then you can do all your mitt work and you can do all your.
Away you go.
I'm poking holes. Yeah, we'll definitely get out some content because we're stuck at home. It's weird because like, you train a lot, you have this routine, but when you're used to work, we work 6 days a week, and before that, for like the first 8 months that we open, we work 7 days a week. So we're so used to being there. And today we're like, all right, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do today? When you just have to sit around all the time, it's like, oh damn. You start to feel like you have to just do shit all the time and keep yourself busy. What are you gonna do with all the time that you have? You can still train. You just have to train like what?
Yeah,
houses or
we're
something.
just gonna change the locations and
People's places, small groups.
Yeah, no, I mean even do things outdoors. I mean,
Right. Yeah. But is it gonna be? Are you not gonna do like 2 or 3 classes a day outside? Like, or are you?
You mean for Juggernaut?
Yeah. Or,
No, they're probably just gonna do like classes. I think 3 times a week, like maybe for 2 hours a day,
Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
But yourself, you're gonna find some training partners to go and work outside with. And,
I think we're still gonna train together as a team, but I'm not sure how it's gonna work out. We're still getting it planned. So.
yeah, because that's the other thing that we don't even know is like we don't know if we can, because they're saying that there's no contact and you can work out outside. I know that the limitations are strict inside, but you can go outside and you can just pad work
Yeah, you
without
can-
anybody saying shit. I still am a little like.
I mean,
You got me paranoid when you told me that they came to the gym the first day. That's why I was like, let's at least close for a little while until the examples get made of, which there always are. Someone gets showed down, like closed down, and then they Straits Times can blast it out and everything like that.
I mean, if you want to train yourself, you could always just go outside and do pad work there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll just be the safest option because that wouldn't be breaking any rules, you know.
Should have gone back and get some Thai pads or something like that and just
Yeah,
beat Charmaine up with them.
just for a few days.
Yeah, until we open up.
By then, they'll have caught some people already, and you'll know.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was like, let's close down in this initial stage until the rules become very clear, and then because the last thing anybody wants is to be made an example of. It happened to one of my business partners. His family has a restaurant, and the same sort of thing happened. Like one of the wait staff apparently overbooked the amount of people that were there, and then boom, their whole restaurant got shut down for like a week.
Oh shit!
Yeah, and it was like during the holidays, so they were like, oh, we really need
Cash.
to run. Yeah, and because they every now and again, boom, they just make the example, and then everybody like shit, and then they tighten everything up again. All right, man. Well, this was fun. Thank you for joining. I'm glad we got to do this again. Let's do it again also because I keep telling Jake and everybody else that we definitely need more women that train martial arts on the podcast.
Happy to do
Because
it.
it is a sausage fest in here and in your phone apparently. Also in her DMs.
Yes.
So it's always good to have a female's perspective that spent a lot of time training, and because you guys have such a different problems to deal with, whether it's finding people, finding training, the fact that the gym, this industry is like 95% men anyway. And
yeah,
then,
we can talk about that next time.
Yeah, for sure. If you want, we can. So we'll end on this, okay? We'll end on this last point because I meant to mention it anyway. What was it like when you initially started doing that? Were you like kind of pushed away by it? Did you feel like
Pushed away by what?
the fact that it was like mostly men, and the fact that you're starting from the bottom, right? And for you want to fight, so then you have to like find all these weird ass matches. You got to fight guys and fight fucking people that have like 15 kilos on just to get fights. There's so many struggles that you got to deal with.
Well, to be honest, like it wasn't okay. I've always been very, very boyish, like super tomboy. So it wasn't hard for me because I've always enjoyed like getting punched in the face. Like doing boy stuff, So like doing martial arts, being in boxing, like it wasn't hard for me to be in like to be surrounded by like guys training or anything like that. It was fine, But what was hard was being constantly hit on by people.
Yeah.
Like that was hard. It was hard being like when you want to train, when you want to take this serious, and people just talk to you because they want something.
Yeah.
Like they want to sleep with you, or they want to hit on you, or like when they talk to you, but not give you the respect. Like that was hard. Like having to feel as if I had to constantly earn respect from people. That was hard.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest, most underlying like weird things that exist, particularly for women when they come into martial arts gyms, is dealing with that, right? Like dealing with all these dudes being around the same place, and there's not as many girls that they have. That's why so much I wanted to open up the gym with Charmaine, right? Because the fact that like when girls come into the gym and they see that like I run it with my wife, and then she coaches there too, and then I coach there too, there's just no bullshit. There's no drama. Nobody feels like they're being predated on, right? I've been to some gyms where like the instructors or the coaches or the owners would sleep with the students, and it kept happening, right? And then you get all that weird shit that starts going on when, by the way, we all know gyms in Singapore where this has happened many times. So I feel like that is like a huge barrier for getting women to train and getting women to train comfortably. Because I know a lot of women who trained for like a year or two, had some shit like that happen, and then just quit training because they're like, don't want to go back into that atmosphere.
I got accused of it in Evolve.
You got accused of it? So the other end, you got accused of it.
So when Yotsunan started training me, he at the beginning, he caught me smoking outside the gym. So he was like, why are you smoking? Like, don't you want to be good? So I said like, if I stop smoking, so for me it was like, if I stop smoking, will you train me to be a champion? Because in my head it was like there's so many students in Evolve. There's just so many people, But if I really want to be good, I need to have someone like actually train me. Because Evolve is like a factory, there's so many students. Like if I don't have someone actually like train me and teach me things, I'm never gonna make it.
Yeah. You're like
so,
a central trainer.
Yeah. So I told him that like if I quit smoking, like will you teach me the basics properly? Will you train me to be a champion? Because I want to be good. Like I want to make it. And he said okay. So we shook on it. Like we made a deal. And so like I quit. I went cold turkey, like from 40 to 0. I just quit. And it was hard. It was one of the most difficult things I did, but I quit. And he honored his side of the bargain, and when I did classes, which I went classes every day, he would hold pads for me and correct my basics, and that's how I improved really, really fast. And because he was helping me a lot in class, one day I got a call from the staff, and they said that I was banned from all of his classes.
Oh shit.
And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean? And they were like, oh, you've been accused of having an inappropriate relationship with Crew Jack. So, Crew being trainer, and Jack was his short name, so
Yeah.
Crew Jack. So yeah, you've been accused of having an inappropriate relationship with him, so you're no longer allowed to attend any of his classes until further notice. And I was like, so do you have any evidence of this?
Yeah.
And they were like, no.
So most likely what happened is somebody just reported you because they were being a dick because they thought that you were getting preferential treatment by the coach.
Yeah,
It's
but
probably jealousy or something. They're like, oh, he's giving her so much attention, and then they
so that
complain.
happened, and I was so mad because I just want to be good.
Yeah.
Like I just want to improve. Like I'm people are training me because I'm hardworking. You know, like they're just training me. I mean, like I'm showing up every day. I'm doing the work. Like I'm proving myself. Like so this happens over and over again. You know, like people giving me shit just because I'm myself. I mean, so I mean, this is one of the things, you know. But so at the beginning it was hard. So then I had to do things like, I mean, I consciously do things like when I come into a gym, I don't flirt with people. I carry myself properly. I dress properly. Things
Yeah.
like that because I want to make a good impression. Like I want people to know that I'm not here to fuck around. But as I get better, as my
It's so
skills,
weird that you even have to consider that, right? Because women have to
Isn't
actually,
it
like,
crazy?
guys are just like, whatever.
Just take off my shirt.
They're just rolling around.
Yeah,
But
like-
women actually have to be conscious about like the environment that they're going into and making sure that like, hey, we're not, don't perceive us. This is not the environment, right?
I mean, for me, I do that because I actually wanna be here. I actually wanna like throw hands with the best guys in the gym. You know, like whatever. Like I don't want people to be like, "Oh, you're a cute girl," so like I'm just gonna ask you on a date.
Yeah.
You know, just no.
Especially like when you're professional, you're trying to do this for a job. You don't want to be fucked around with when you're
Yes.
at work, right? Essentially.
Yeah, so when I go to gyms, I'll have trainers hit on me, and like Thais especially, they're very flirtatious and all that. So they'll just hit on you constantly. Sometimes they'll train you, and then when they realize that they can't sleep with you, they'll stop training you.
Yep.
You get this kind of stuff.
Yep. I've seen it all, dude. I've seen all of it. I spent years at Evolve too. I saw several trainers kicked out for that. I worked at another gym in Singapore for 3 years. Saw it here. Saw every gym I've been to has always had that, except mine, because otherwise I would not be here and I would not be happily married right now.
Yeah, Charmaine would be pretty pissed off with it, man.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, and it's one of the best things about our gym is that like we get a lot of girls that come in and train, and there's just zero of that, right? Because even sometimes I've been in places where it's not the owners or whoever, but it's the coaches, right? And then you don't have to worry about that. My wife is there all the time, so at no level is that kind of like vibe getting sent off at my gym ever between any of the women and the instructors, the staff, or any of that shit. Because Charmaine's presence there just makes it so much easier for women to come in. Oh, hey, see another girl training, and it's my wife, so everybody's good here, and it just sets the tone and the environment to be like fucking healthy and not creepy and weird and exist with all of that toxic stuff that you literally see in every other gym. Like 100% of the ones I've been to have had shit like this happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like things get better as your skills improve, though. Like as I got better, like I stopped getting so much. Like people will, like sort of give me more respect. Like but even when I teach, like sometimes
Yeah.
I'll have people like
You get a new person that comes
Like,
in
once
and
in
is
a while,
fucking
like-
weird.
yeah, like
Yeah.
because I'm quite small, and then then like when I teach, I'll have this high voice, and people who don't know me, like sometimes I'll get people, you mean you're the trainer for today?
Yeah,
Like with this
I
this
know.
tone, and I'm like, yeah, you have a fucking problem with that. Like, give me 50 push-ups. Like, fuck you,
Yeah,
you know?
you should.
Yeah, like
It's your
just
space anyway. Like, if you're the fucking coach, like, bitch, you're here with me. Like,
yeah. So I mean, this kind of shit. But you know what? It just comes with the job description. It's fine.
yeah, Charmaine always gets nervous about that. I mean, I teach all the adult classes most of the time, but there's been a few times where, like, I've been sick or someone had to do something or whatever, and so she had to like cover my adult classes, right? Whether they're kickboxing or something like that. And then she's done everything for like 6 years, right? Full time. She's trained everything from the very beginning. So she's got 6 years, and she always does boxing, Muay Thai, and Jiu-Jitsu like every day, right? So she's done everything since the beginning. So sometimes I have to have her cover the classes, and she's like, oh, they don't come to train with me, they come to train with you, and she's very self-conscious about the fact that my little like 49 kilo wife is going to be the kickboxing trainer or whatever, or the Jiu-Jitsu coach. But I keep telling her, I was like, yeah, but you have more experience than everybody. Like, there's no one else better suited to do it. Like, you just have to. But it's weird, right? It's hard to get over that hurdle when you feel like you're being perceived a certain way. And
Well,
with your students, it's fine, I'm sure, right? But you get the guy that comes in that doesn't know anybody, and then they just say
Well,
shit.
that's part of the reason why I work so hard. because I like that's why I want my skills to be so good. Because when it comes down to leading a class, I want to be able to out technique everybody.
Yeah.
So that when it comes, because I spar with my class like quite often, and I know that like I'm a smaller person and they are athletically bigger than me and physically and faster and whatever, and so like oftentimes I will not be able to dominate them like in terms of like physique. So I have to use technique. So like things like that, like I have to use like sometimes like technique may not be enough because they're just too powerful, right?
Yeah.
And then you have egos flying around the room. So then I have to use things like intelligence, or like sometimes you have to mind fuck them.
Yeah.
So like on sparring day, you come in, you'll be like, "Oh, are you okay? Like you look so tired today," and they actually don't look tired. But you're just like, "What's wrong with you?"
Like what? What? Really? I look tired? Why you say that?
Like I'm like, do
You're
you?
like, I got you.
Yeah, they're like, how come you have like dark circles in your eyes? Do you sleep? Like, I mean, like you look a little tired today, and then you put it into their head that they look tired, and then you see they're sparring like kind of shit that day, cause like
You got to early. This is just, you're practicing your mental warfare. You can't fucking fight, so you're like sitting over here mind fucking your students.
I mean, like sometimes you just gotta like play the games. Like you just have to look at everything as like a bigger picture. So I mean, like because I'm a girl and I'm small, like when I run a class, like I just have to be very intelligent about everything. Also, like you just have to be confident about who you are, because I mean, it's your class, it's your thing. Like also like over the span of time, I've built a stable of students who are very, very good technically. And because they all listen to me and they all look up to me, when new students come in and they see that all these large boys with stellar head movement and defense and footwork, they all listen to me, the rest will fall in line.
Yeah,
You know
well,
what I mean?
eventually is with anything, right? Once your
Yeah.
technique gets so good, you're undeniable, right? If they have all these people that they see come in to train you and people that they want to train with you, like in the beginning stages when you're just starting to coach or whatever, you kind of just deal with who you're directly in front of you. But once you get those same students that keep coming back, then when a new one comes in, they see, oh, look at all these guys here, and then it establishes yourself. And then when you're like demonstrating the technique and your students are really technical, like you can see that, right? You can tell just from when you watch somebody like throw a strike with a partner, or they're demonstrating on the bag, and they have a bunch of students. You're like, okay, the skill level is so good that you're undeniable, and you'll hear a lot less of like that, oh, girl teaching the class kind of bullshit coming from people, right?
You just have to find a way to make it work if you want to be in this industry, because it's going to be hard. I mean, it's going to be hard if you just have to embrace it. Like you cannot let the fact that you're a girl stop you from making it, It's not a hindrance. Like you just have to look at it as like a benefit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like some girls, they let it stop them from prospering, but like I don't like. I mean, like being a girl it's not a bad thing either. Like the attention you get is not a bad thing if you can use it in the right way. I mean, it's just not a bad thing. It's all perspective. Everything is perspective.
Yeah. That's interesting. This is why we need to have more ladies on the podcast, dude. We got to get that perspective, because that's the best thing about like training women is seeing them like go to competitions, win competitions, get better, do all and not only just training women, right, like that come to my gym, but the fact that I've trained with Charmaine since the second time I ever met her, right? So I've taught her everything from the very beginning. So to see women in general, like the ones that I train at the gym, and to see my wife, how much training has like built her up, right? To see the confidence that you get from gaining the skill set, like she's also learning how to like teach classes and control the room, and so all those things that you pick up over the years. And it's one of the greatest things the greatest rewards I get is like teaching the girls, because they come in and some of them are very shy and very meek and don't even understand what they're capable of, right? And then you see them just like choking some bitch in a competition and like losing their mind, and it's like, yes, you get so pumped for them, right?
Yeah.
So that's cool, man. We should definitely do a podcast again. This has been really, really good. Time just flew by. I mean, it's like almost 2 hours already. So that's how you know the podcasts are good. So thanks for joining us. You want to shout out your social media that you don't share? No dick pics, guys.
No dick pics,
no
guys.
No dick pics. To me, optional. I'll take them or leave them. But to her, no.
The Boy and the Tiger, like Calvin and Hobbes.
And Jake doesn't share his shit because he's just got a bunch of pictures of kids. You can follow me at Lucas Leisure. We'll be doing some more content this week, guys. I got nothing to do. And if I just sit around and just sit on my ass all for the next 3 weeks, I'm going to get fat. So we're going to put some content out for y'all to absorb. Thank you for listening, everybody, and have a good day.